Here we go. I'm live. Hi, everybody. My name is Bryan C.P. Steele. I'll be your professional nerd today, or any day you watch one of my silly little shows. Welcome to Tales from a Professional Nerd Live. So let's just go ahead and dive in. So today is Black Friday for all of the shopping folks out there. Remember that it is just as easy, if not easier, to get stuff on, via the interwebs, Cyber Monday sales and the like. The reason I say that is because it can get kind of crazy out there. I know that shopping has changed pretty dramatically from the days of the Black Friday, people getting trampled for Tickle Me Elmos. But I do think that there is still a lot of people out there. There's still a lot of. I stopped at the store just literally to pick up spinach. I know that's weird. Spinach and spicy sausage. And it was still busy. It was not like it used to be. But just please be safe out there, and or you know what? Spend your time hanging out with me, because I think I adore you, and I could use the validation for me and my channel. All right, so yeah, I always do the week in Bryan, and a live is no different, but we're gonna do it quickly. Gaming wise, I got to play the Witcher board game last week at my buddy's gaming day / birthday party thing. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I as a game designer, I can't help but nitpick about certain things. Like in my head, I try not to verbalize it. I try not to take away from the moment. But there are elements that people add to their games sometimes that I just kind of throw my hands in the air and go, "What the heck? This could be so much better." But overall, I would give the Witcher board game a big thumbs up. It was a lot of fun. And part of that is probably the people I got to play with. We had a full table of 5, but it was a good time. It was a really good time. I know that I would have it came down to the wire. The gentleman who went right before me, Chris, took the win, whereas I was in a position to win on my turn. So it literally came down to like his final fight. If he would have lost, it would have gone to my turn, and then I would have more than likely won the game. But he didn't, so I did not get my opportunity, and I took a close and gnashing teeth. But it was a good time. We had a great time. Other than that, I got to play in our every few weeks online Rifts game, Classic Rifts. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. We had to do some interrogation of a spy, basically. It's a Wild West, a New West style game, and one of the local bar waitresses was feeding information to the local bandits, and we caught her. We got some information out of her, and I don't say using her. That's not the right word. We are allowing her to stay out of the prison, the local jail, by helping us set up the bandits. So we had to run and go get the radio equipment, and it was cool. It was a good session. I got to do a little bit of role play with my dragon juicer, in the way that it's very easy when you're playing someone who's superhuman fast and strong and carries around a giant, death laser, all that kind of stuff. It's very easy to just solve every answer with violence, or every question with violence. And we got into a situation where I was able to do a little role play where there's a regular, everyday, unaugmented human person who would have been an absolute, like, not even a pushover. Like, it would have been an afterthought if we just wanted to just, get rid of him. But I realized my character is a war vet from the Coalition Wars, and I wanted to kind of highlight the fact that while capable of extreme violence, he understands that sometimes it's just not necessary. When someone poses literally no threat to you, there's no reason for you to show off your big muscles, that kind of thing. So it was good. It was good. It was a fun scene, and potentially I made a contact out of it. We'll see. But that was a good time. Let's see, what else. That's really it for gaming. I got to play some Diablo last night, which was fun, or the night before. Yeah, I think that's really all my gaming. Hobby, I have not done anything because I have been focused on other work stuff, which we'll get to that in a minute. But I did want to. I said that I was going to show this off, and I totally forgot to do so. I mentioned my commission painting of the Strange Hollow, some of the Strange Hollow STLs, and I wanted to introduce you to one of my favorites from that set. This is the Paradise Dragon. Oh God, don't drop her, Jesus. Just a very cool style of dragon. Pink ombre, a lot of pinks, a lot of reds, a little bit of purples. It's got bright blue eyes. It's fun. It's a cool kit. A cool STL. I'm gonna set him down before I drop it. But that was the last of the Strange Hollow models before I finished that commission. I haven't delivered it to the client yet because I got to figure out how to transport everything without breaking. But yeah, so that was cool. It's a cool kit, and I'm glad to have been able to paint it for them. But that's really all my hobby stuff. I haven't done much of anything in the hobby section. Hopefully, if all goes well, I will be able to print and maybe paint something before PAX next week. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. So let's see. That was personal. Going back to the gym, I officially have tennis elbow. This one right here. I had mentioned that I was pretty sure that that's what I had, just because of what where it hurts and how it hurts. It sucks. It's not ideal. I'm not a huge fan of pain. I don't know what is. Well, that's not true. I am not, and it does make for a very interesting, an interesting situation lifting and moving stuff, because I don't know if anybody out there has had tennis elbow before. It's not an always hurt. It's kind of a dull sort of ache, and then like extending my arm out all the way that's fine. But then if I squeeze my fist, it here. So it's just very weird. It's very hey, Avi's online. Hey, Avi. Hello, lovely person. Hello, lovely Avi. If you get tennis elbow, try acupuncture. Worked great for me. Also try ice compresses. I have been doing ice packs. I don't like them. I don't like being cold. But I have done ice packs. I don't know if I can do acupuncture. I know it's super weird. I'm covered in tattoos. But I hate needles. I absolutely loathe them. So the idea of just having someone stab me and leave it, I don't know if I could do that. I think it would freak me out probably more than make some rosemary tea and place some wet towels. It has anti-inflammatory. Place some wet towels, like in case I pee myself, or just cold towels and. Oh, okay, I get it. Make the rosemary tea, wet the towels, put it on my. I see, and I officially have it on the internet for everybody to hear about me. Afraid of wetting myself about my elbow. There we go, folks. That's your sound clip. But yeah, thanks, Avi. I will. I've got rosemary. I've got a bunch of rosemary left over from making my turkey yesterday, which, by the way, it went very well. I normally do. I didn't do my turkey like I normally do. I normally wet brine it for a day, let it sit, like it's a process. But yesterday it was my first time doing a dry brine with like butter pat under the skin, that kind of thing. I hadn't done that before in 10 years. But it turned out really good. I was very happy. Very, very pleased with the results. But it was just, yeah, we just had kind of a low key Thanksgiving. We didn't have either of the kids with us this year, and none of the extended family showed up. So it was just me and Natalie and the dogs and the cats, and we had a good time. It was good. We watched some TV. We went out. She's on a pretty strict dietary thing right now. So yesterday was her, kind of excuse cheat day sort of thing. So it was nice to be able to make some good stuff for her. And then about halfway through making Thanksgiving, I realized that I didn't make any dessert. I no pie, no cake, no brownies, no insert random weird thing I found in a cookbook. I didn't make anything. And so, when we were done, we were like, all right, so I guess we're going to go and maybe grab something as a dessert, like, go get ice cream or something. And we, in doing so, we realized that everything's closed that late at night at Thanksgiving. So we ended up going to one of the local like gas station quickie mart kind of things, and I grabbed some gelato. She grabbed some Ben and Jerry's, and we just came back and kind of hung out and watched a movie and just had a nice night in. I know that it's not massive, like a huge giant spread for Thanksgiving or anything, but it was good. It was nice. It was a nice night, which brought us to today, the Black Friday, which, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really do any shopping for it today other than some spinach and sausage at the grocery store. Not exactly a Black Friday, super deal, that's for sure. But it was just I knew I had to get some work done today. I knew I wanted to have this general Q&A today. But yeah, it's good. I've been very busy with work. Let's move into the work week in Bryan. Very busy working. I'm trying to wrap up some text stuff for the Gax Works Wrath of the Sea Lich. I'm trying to do my dev pass, finish that up so I can actually get into some design of monsters and things. I started to actually put some words to the page for the Point One Systems World of Drashar. Got to create some evil gods. It's kind of a misnomer, but evil entities that serve as gods, and start really putting some plans together for how some of their influences are reacting with the evil spawn that they create. Very cool. I love being able to help shape stuff. Signed a gig to do some more of the Wildkin for the Dungeons in the Box guys, and then just got to see the final PDF of my holiday adventure for Evil Genius for Everyday Heroes. The adventure is called Lumps of Coal, where you get to do the age-old, everybody and their brother had a cartoon or a band like special event or whatever. Somebody saves Christmas, and I wanted to kind of take a spin on that, but with Everyday Heroes. So I'm looking very forward to being able to hear people enjoying the madness that we put into that adventure. Working on the Shadow novel. those words flow very fast because it's about a bunch of characters that I have legitimately played with at the table. So that's fun. Intergalactic Heroes just got over a pretty major hump. Got over a pretty big lump in the design process where we figured out something very integral to one of the systems needed to be tweaked. We made that tweak, and now I really do think that it's in the best shape that it's been in. So everything's moving along, doing great. I'm very happy. Warzone is so close to being able to for everybody to fall on the storage center in Michigan and start packing boxes and getting things. We're so close. We're just waiting for the printed assets. I'm waiting to hear back from the layout guy on his text pass for the tournament kit. As soon as that gets done and we get all the licensing stuff taken care of, I will get that out the door to everybody. I cannot wait for people to start being able to play with our models, with our rules, with special scenarios. Just really, I'm very, very happy. I'm a very happy camper about all things Warzone right now. Speaking of, and then I'll start actually answering any questions. So PAX Unplugged is next week. Which I am going to. I'm going, but I'm actually going with Evil Genius. So I will be either in the Evil Genius booth or, apart from one Shadowrun stage play stage game that I'll be doing, I'll be either in the Evil Genius booth or in the Evil Genius gaming area, running a couple of games. I think I'm running Escape from New York and some Kong Skull Island, I believe. And I know that I'm doing at least one podcast with the Redemption HQ guys on Saturday night. So yeah, no, it's all around great. But I do know that while I'm there, I'm going to get a chance to spend a little time at the Warzone booth and see some very, very cool things that even I have not seen apart from digital files. So I'm very excited about all of that. Now that we are through these things, let's open the floor to questions and answers. Oh God, Abby's been busy. Some abstractions there. How was turkey dinner? It was great. Sounds lovely. Okay. Finished my small Pathfinder 2E campaign where the players started as goblins and slowly rose to herodom. Hero goblins. I have mentioned before that Pathfinder and I, it's a different system for me. I don't normally. I'm not a big Pathfinder fan. I understand that there are a lot of people out there, and I know that it's very solid as a system. And I know that second edition is more solid than first, having looked through the books. But I will. I'm always eager to hear people enjoying their games. So I think that's awesome. And the fact that they all started as goblins, you had an all goblin game. Oops, all goblins. That's rad. I think that's fantastic. It took about 14 months. That's so a little over a year is a little over a year is a good length for a small campaign. I dig that. That's a nice. It's not so long that you feel like you're just tacking things on at the end to make it happen, but it's also not so short that people can't really get invested in their characters and stuff. One of the players sacrificed themselves to save an NPC they had a close relationship. Oh, sad. Was it like the last game, or did they? Was it if it was the last game? That's a great kind of the bookend to a character. This is what I did. If it's mid campaign, especially on a shorter campaign, it's harder to reintroduce a new character. Hit the ground running kind of thing. In a situation like that, I know that I've done something similar where someone sacrificed themselves for an NPC, and then I actually because there was still a good 4 or 5 sessions left of the campaign that I knew of, maybe more. I let the person who sacrificed their character for the NPC take over the NPC. That was they kind of earned it. 2E is the best system I've ever played. Wow, that says a lot. I am glad that you dig it as much as you do. That's awesome. Avi says they paid for that service as mid-campaign and they got reincarnated as an elf. So goblin to elf. So then you had a pack of goblins and one big tall elf. Acneth waves. Hello, Acneth. How are you? How is everyone in your neck of the universe? Oh, my coffee is cold. Gross. You hate snow. I'm sorry to hear that, Akneth. I don't know where are you physically located. Avi says it was very funny because they were an elf but knew very little of the culture. I love so it's been a hot minute. God, it was probably 5 years ago. I ran a convention game that I don't know if I could do it as a long-term game because it is kind of a twist the knife sort of thing. But it was a good like 4-hour slot. And the first 20 minutes, basically the game starts with everybody. They're all just like mercs. They're just mercenaries. You know, everybody's a human fighter, you know, and you don't sell it real hard. You just go, you start them in the middle of a battle, you know, just it's everybody roll initiative. This is how this game's gonna start things off, and you set the stage with the battle you're fighting. It's been an uphill battle. It's been, the mud has been, or the ground has been churned to mud with the blood of your enemies and all this stuff. And then you put them up against like somebody who is out of their league. You know, they just get butchered. And then, after like the second or third person at the table dies, the rest kind of realize, oh, okay, this is sort of a TPK, it's supposed to happen kind of moment. And then when everybody's dead, you do a quick fade to black. You tell everyone, and then your eyes reopen, and you literally have them openly roll on the reincarnation table to determine what their new species is. And then they basically all wake up on this battlefield as different things, and you do it as almost like a spin on Valhalla, where like everybody wakes up, fights, dies again, wakes up, fights, dies again, that kind of thing. But it's all about, they wake up, they fight, they die, they get reincarnated as something else, and they get into the actual adventure because they're trying to break this cycle on this cursed battlefield. And it does allow them to, as players, if they know that almost a Groundhog Day-esque, if the whole party dies, we get to roll the next reincarnation and start the day over again. It was a lot of fun. I only think that we did one additional reincarnation because they were like, it was like they took them that time to figure it out. Will it happen again? And it did. But it was fun. It's a cool convention game. I would never be able to run it as a long-term game. That would be nuts. Bessemer, Michigan, first snowfall, and it took snow removal people 3 hours for fluffy snow. Is Bessemer's not up in the Ute, is it? It's not up in the Upper Peninsula. It's just regular mitten, not the little dangly bit that probably should be Wisconsin. It is in the Ute. Okay. Yeah, I heard you guys got some snow. I had my meeting with Alex, who's even further south, that he woke up to it. 20-ish minutes from Wisconsin. Yep, you definitely got dumped on. I apologize that you are getting a bunch of snow and that it's taking a while to remove. It was drizzling snow on us for a few minutes when I went to the gym this morning. And now it just looks like there's a couple of flakes, but nothing big. Reincarnation session was very intense because the actual players were tearful, and I gave the player the option if they wanted to return to life. They described it as being tired. They described it as being tired and wanting, but he wanted to return to his friends. Oh, that's so good. See, No, see, that's cool. That's a cool moment. There's really cool ways. So I don't spend as much time on role playing TikTok as I used to. But role playing TikTok, there has been recently a pretty rash, like a lot of people that have been posting that they like GMs should never kill characters. That it should always be a handshake and a only in the moment of the cinematic moment should you work this out with your players. And I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. If you go into a game knowing that the challenge isn't there, the threat is not there, the risk is not there, then you end up doing dumb things with your character. You start doing things that in a more realistic sense you're never gonna do, because you're like, I know I'll be fine. The DM's not gonna kill me. And I think that's I have always thought that is a mistake, is to say that characters can't die. Especially that characters can't die as a result of their choices or dice rolls. It does suck to have a character, to have a player character get killed due to just kind of random bad dice. It does happen. But I dare say that removing that element, removing that randomly bad thing that could happen, allows people to just kind of go ham and be like, it'll work out in the end. I think that it's not to be like, game systems are too lenient. I think a lot of times game systems have really leaned on that it's more about the story than the threat. And I disagree for most games. Obviously, not all games. Someone Akneth plays Essence 20. Essence 20, it's designed specifically that your characters are just defeated, and then you work out a defeat, like what that means. Whereas if you wanted to, you could play it that defeat means death. But more often than not, it should probably mean something more to those more cinematic or story style games. But if you're playing a game where you're a bunch of heroes wading into combat with 100 hobgoblins, that threat should be there. It really should. Let's see what we got. Over a month ago, the Green Ranger in Power Rangers campaign, I'm in there. The player had to leave. Most emotional farewell session ever at the end. No one besides the Green Ranger and the Game Master knew. Oh, see, I have been not a Power Rangers game, but it's doubly so for a Power Rangers game because it's a team-based game. So it's not just, oh man, we lost the soldier on the battlefield. It's an actual you're saying goodbye to this member of the team. That's huge. But I have been in sessions where somebody can't make it anymore. They're moving away, whatever, and it is it can be a pretty heart-wrenching moment, especially if you're a bunch of close friends. Abby's playing some board games. Gonna play Root. I've never played Root. I have been told that I should, that it's really good, and everyone from the table says hi. Well, I'm going to say hi to everyone at the table. Side effect of the session: campaign green spectrum is gone for good. Whoa, that's massive. That's a huge narrative, kick to the junk. So for the people who aren't watching the thing, in Akneth's game, the Green Ranger in their Power Rangers game had to leave the campaign, so they had to say goodbye, and they worked it out with the Game Master to narratively let the Green Ranger retire. And the side effect of the session, they just wrote that the campaign, in that campaign, the green spectrum of the Morphin grid is gone for good. It's destroyed from the grid. And for anybody who doesn't watch Power Ranger, doesn't know about how the Morphin grid works, obviously there's different spectrum colors that represent certain types of energy. And in the show, in the comics, they've mentioned several times that the energies have flavors. Like there's different leanings to them. And in fact, one of the episodes, Zordon specifically does say that if you have too much of one particular energy, it can be, and in that particular episode, they talk about too much pink energy. But if there's too much energy of a particular type, it can kind of tip the scales in a weird direction. It can be dangerous, as Zordon says. Good old Zordon over here. Boop, boop, boop. But yeah, no, that's cool. That's that I would love to see how that ends up working. It could be a very cool plot point to try and find, either a replacement for the green the green energy on the grid. Yeah, no, that's cool. Avi says these types of repercussions make role play so much deeper. Absolutely. And I firmly believe that there should be stakes in everything, even if the stakes are minor, like a local town or something. But the bigger and more grandiose the stakes are, you can find yourself, depending on the characters, depending on the players, sometimes you can find yourself doing too many epic things, where the characters are met for the first time by an NPC, and the NPC is like, oh, we're being plagued by this dragon, and one of the player characters is, it's no big deal, we've killed 5 dragons, 2 liches, reset the time stream, and oh yeah, that guy's died like 4 times. It ceases to have the impact in that relationship, because also from the perspective of that person who you're meeting, do they believe you? Do they actually go, oh yeah, okay, you guys have killed 5 dragons and arm wrestled a god? It stops being a believable moment if you've already pushed that needle, so far forward that the role-playing moments get lost. It ceases to be about the interaction and starts to be about ticking boxes on what's the cool thing that we did this week. And I think that's not great. So having, Avi says you need some bad to elevate the good moments. I agree. I think that having some epic failures to balance the scale against the epic wins helps make a story feel more real, feel more like you're reading or watching an epic tale. I think that's definitely the case. All right, we are now officially halfway through the live, and I'm going to shut up and take questions. The whole point of this was to do Q&A to keep me from going out and shopping and spending what little money I have on stuff I don't need. So yeah, let's questions about anything that I can, literally anything. I am not. I'm open door. If I can answer it legally or otherwise, I will. And my coffee is still cold, and it's surprising every time I go to take a drink. Speaking of roleplay, what was the moment that filled you as a storyteller? Oh, like the moment at the table that made me go, oh, that I feel like I've done it. I felt fulfilled. Oh wow. It is probably way back when I ran. I'm going to date myself. I ran a D20, so D&D, like 3rd edition Star Wars role-playing game for my my wife at the time and some of our best friends, and I had an NPC that at this point it's become a trope. I mean, this is literally like 20 years ago. I had an NPC that had been with them. He was this smuggler who had a glass cane that he walked around with. He was a nice enough guy, just a really cool dude. And I knew there was going to be a reveal at some point of him being a Jedi hiding from Vader, hiding from the Inquisition, hiding from Vader's purge. And because I had said it at the kind of the height of, I think it was right after Alderaan blew up. Like it was within 5 years of Alderaan getting blasted. And I got into a situation where I knew that he was going to do the last stand thing, kind of one of those, all right, he's going to have a reveal. They're going to find out, oh my God, he's a Jedi. It was a fun moment where like he was standing on the gangplank of their ship, and the Imperial nasties, the bounty hunters that I had sent after them, and they're getting ready to assault the vessel, and it's the Star Wars version of tossing the keys to someone, get the engine started, and he takes his cane, his glass cane, where he turns around, it's got like the silver topper part, silver-handed part, and he takes it and he turns around and he smashes the glass cane against the little uprights on the gangplank, and as soon as the glass shatters, he replaces it with it was like a green blade. And everybody at the all the players were like, he's what? It was a legitimate moment where none of them saw it coming. They were completely just bushwhacked by the fact that they've been hanging out with this dude for months, and I never had him use a force power. I never dangled it in front of them. He was legitimately hiding in plain sight. And it was in this one moment that they were like, he's like, I have to do this, because if I don't, they can't flee. He had his Gandalf moment, fly fools. It was a very, very cool moment. And I loved that game, and that feeling getting from those players, sitting around the table going, holy crap, we've been hanging out with the Jedi on the run this whole time. It was very cool. It was very cool. And that definitely, I think that's probably what sold me as where I really liked telling stories, where I liked being a DM, where I liked having those moments. It's harder to have those moments for some of my players now, because they've been playing everything, and every story's done it twice, but I still try. Question. Biggest RPG book that you've worked on to date? Biggest, if by biggest you mean the largest size, probably one of the RuneQuest books back in the days of Mongoose. Those were huge. If you mean biggest as in like, I think the one that has made the most impact as a system collectively, I'm probably gonna say either the Power Rangers or the Transformers Essence 20 book. Just because I'll say the Power Rangers book. Not so much. I enjoyed the stuff with Transformers more, but because it was the first Essence 20 release, it allowed us to create a brand new system that has now gone on for years, and with multiple genres, or multiple IPs, and really has done very well for itself. I mean, hell, we won an Emmy for one of the books. But I think even though it was riddled with layout problems, it had the distinction of being the first in the Essence 20 family, which means it had problems that could have been better play tested out. But we had some Hasbro deadlines that we had to meet. But it really did. It set the stage for all of the Essence 20 families. It let people know what we were intending. as far as what a cinematic system really meant, what a narrative role-playing game, what we were trying to create. And I think, I think that was, that's probably my biggest book. Not only because of the fact that it put us on the path to the Ennies, but it started the Essence 20. It started Essence 20 as a system, and knowing that I had a very heavy hand in the design of that system, and writing hundreds of thousands of words for Essence 20 over the following couple of years. That will always mean a great deal to me. Getting a chance to play in those sandboxes, to play with the licenses. There are still things that I wish I could have done. There are definitely things that I wish I could have changed. And I know that I don't have the bandwidth right now, but I guarantee that there are things that, if I have the opportunity to reach out to Scott and Ben and those guys and be like, hey, I would love to do this source book. Will you let me? Can I do this source book? Ask Hasbro if it's cool. I know that I've still got some stuff that I would love to do. I know for a fact I missed the window to be a part of one project that I really wanted to be. But this is the nature of having any semblance of freelance. I've got like 7 things on my calendar as it is, and I can't, in good faith, take on a deadline to add something else to it, not only for my own sanity, but also to be respectful of the deadline. I could look at them and go, yeah, cool, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. It's no big deal. And then if I, miss my dates, I miss my deadlines, or I rush through it and put out a half-assed product, it looks bad on me. It looks bad on them. And it also has a potential of, ruining what I want to try and create. What I want the players to be able to have, I don't want to give them half-ass. I want to give them whole ass. That came out wrong. But yeah, so I think that's it. Let's see. What was your very first pen and paper role-playing game character? Wow. So the very first character that I ever played was a dwarf. I believe his name was Bjorn, but it was handed to me. I was 7 years old. I was hanging out with my cousin Toby, and he and his friends were playing D&D in the other room. And my dad told Toby to include me, include your cousin. So I sat down at the table with a bunch of teenagers, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. And they handed me a character. I believe his name was Bjorn the Dwarf. And I was handed this. They gave me a couple of factoids about how being a dwarf. That's how long ago it was. I was not a dwarf fighter. I was a dwarf, because that was early D&D, where your race was your class. I remember being elated with figuring out that orcs are too stupid to have passwords at doors. So when they asked what the password was, I told them there is no password, and they let us in, and we beat the orcs. And I will always remember that moment. I might, it's fuzzy, it's 40 years ago. But I remember that exchange, and I remember being so proud of myself to remember what he said 20 minutes before. As a 7-year-old, that's a big deal. My first character that I think that I made on my own, I had an elven archer named Vansel Van Edwar, who eventually, because that was back in, you just kept adding levels. There was no cap out at 20th. There was just, you keep playing and you just keep leveling. And I was young enough, it was like my middle school days, that the guys I was playing with, we leveled almost at the end of every session. It was silly. And that character ended up being ridiculously, epically dumb, overpowered, as you do when you're 14. But I will always remember enjoying that game, enjoying playing Vonsel. That was a game that we played occasionally on the school bus. Like we would grab the back seats, and those of us that were the last ones to get off the school bus, a 30-40 minute trip, we would get a combat in. It wasn't a lot of role playing as much as tell a quick story, get into a fight, roll some dice. It was a lot of fun. And I'll always fondly remember those days. My first character was a half-elf ranger. This is from Avi. First character was a half-elf ranger when I was 12 years of age. I was reading Dragonlance, and Tanis half-elf was your hero. I absolutely understand that. If there is one thing that absolutely does hurt me, like it puts a chilling hand on my heart about the new 2024 player's guide, the new options for in 2024 D&D, is the fact that they took away the logistics of playing a half elf or a half orc. They now just basically are like, we're not going to do that. You're just gonna pick a species, and that's the one you're closest to, and you can call yourself half something, but you're just this. And I don't like it. And part of that reason is for Tanis half elf, because Tanis is an icon in D&D. The Dragonlance novels are what brought so many people to D&D. It's what brought me to my my early high school D&D group. Was literally I went to a picnic for a local church picnic thing, and I was there and I was playing the amusement park games, and the guy running one of the games, kid my age, was reading a Dragonlance novel, and I was like, oh dude, that's awesome, I love those books, how far are you along? And he's like, oh, I just started this. I didn't want to get too far ahead because our campaign. And as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, you play D&D? And we hit it off, and Chuck became a very close friend for a long time. But through Chuck, I met my friend Ian, my friend Todd. I met several of my high school girlfriends, including one very particularly important one. Dragonlance is such a huge, I don't want to say gateway drug, but like, because of the novels, Dragonlance was massive to pull people into D&D. And Tanis Half-Elven is the reason why half-elves were created. And the fact that that's no longer a thing is it's sad to me. I know that they're like, yeah, narratively you can still totally be, but there is something about it, about creating that character who lives between two worlds, that it's very cool. And I am very sad that it is no longer a mechanical element, that it's all narrative. And there's no reason for a player to choose that kind of middle of the road thing that comes with some social stigma, that comes with, I've got one foot in two worlds. I've got a little bit of the elven benefits, because that, the benefits of being an elf. So now my humans, the human side of my family might be jealous, but I'm also not elf. So my elven side, looks down on me. And I understand that they're trying to remove some of the socio-political stuff from the species, and I get it, but I think that there's better ways to do it than just erase it and then go, well, it's not there, so it's not problematic. I think there's more mature ways to handle it. Never read Teen. My friend got me Dragonlance in English. Oh, read everything in 2 years. All right, that's pretty much how I learned English. See, and that's D&D books bring people together. She was cool too when she found out how you learn your vocabulary. She helped and gifted me the book Deities and Demigods that she pulled from her bag. See, those are stories. Those are great stories that people. That's a lot. I don't want to bag on I don't want to bag on new gamers. I don't because new gamers help make us make this industry what it is. But I do think that the era of randomly meeting somebody who's reading a book, in my case, or your English teacher that's like, hey, I play D&D. Check out this Deities and Demigods book. I think a lot of that is over, sadly. Those sorts of interactions don't happen as often. Now you get a lot more people that come to the game via Critical Role or Dimension 20 or their Facebook feed, or it is. I think that social media, for all of his ups and downs, have kind of replaced the walk up and talk to somebody about the book in their hand, or I know that it happens, but I can't tell you the last time that I've seen it happen successfully is everybody show up for a game at random at the local game store. Now it's let me invite you to my Discord server, and now we'll talk about game for 6 months before we actually play. And I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age, but I do miss the era of finding a gamer through circumstance, through interaction. Going to we had a store local to me called the Valparaiso Pet and Hobby. It was mostly a pet store, and it had a little section of like D&D books and Warhammer figures and stuff off to the side, and we would go there because it was one of the only places you could buy ArmorCast stuff. We didn't have any big game stores yet, and I remember going there and meeting my friend Sam, and he was sitting there looking at an adventure. And it was an adventure that I had already ran. I had already been through it. And I remember going, dude, that's really cool. That's a really good adventure. You're going to have a lot of fun. And his response was, I don't really have a group to play it, but I'll probably read through it. And immediately it was well, we could probably make room for you. Are you local? Are you from around here? And it became, he became part of the group just because we know, that they've got that love for the game. And I wish I saw that more. Tables have become, I don't want to say exclusive. That's not the right word. They're almost predetermined. Like, you set up everyone who's playing before you ever start the game. Session zeros are important. I would never say don't do that. But it is a little harder to have the, hey, you want to sit down and play with me moment if you've got to plan it for 4 months ahead of time. All right, we have a little under 10 minutes left of the live. Do we have any other questions? New gamers are a treasure, especially younger players. I agree. New gamers are a big deal. I wish there was a way to bring in new blood without automatically referring them to an established something. Because while I enjoy the stuff that Critical Role and Dimension 20 and stuff have brought to the industry and have strengthened the industry, I think that it is hard when you have a gamer that goes, oh, D&D, like that one show that I watch on Twitch or whatever. They come to the table with a predisposed notion of what their game should be, or what every game should be. I know they call it the Matt Mercer effect, and I feel bad that Matt has to wear that mantle, because it's not just Matt's fault. It is the era of actual plays and the era of professional or celebrity game masters or celebrity players. It is how things simply progress. The more attention, the bigger audience, the more back and forth and kind of groundwork that is laid by someone else, the more that is going to have an impact across the board. And I think that's it is a double-edged sword. It's good. It's good that all this new blood hits, and it's good that people want to play and want to strive to do these great things. But it also means that, like as I mentioned earlier, the era of the I've got a 5th level fighter, I can just sit down and play, right? The era of that is more or less over. That doesn't really happen anymore. Now you have organized play systems and Adventure League and Pathfinder Society and the ecosystem for everyday heroes and Shadowrun missions. You've got all this stuff that help facilitate people playing and help facilitate new players hit the ground running, which is awesome. But those are very specific. This is the kind of character you can make. This is the kind of thing that you have to play. This is and that sort of feeling of I can just show up to a game and sit down with my character. Excuse me, gross. That I can just sit down with my character that I've made and loved and maybe played before. If I didn't do it as per your systems, your organized play systems rules, or maybe you're playing an extremely narrative game and I've made a character that's a little crunchier, there's a bigger chance that things won't fit quite right, or not be allowed in some cases. I had in my opinion, a really cool character to play at Winter Fantasy last year, in some of the Adventure League stuff, because I had it on the inside tip that particular character class was going to be allowed by the time that convention rolled around, but the Adventure League people, it never happened. And so I had this really cool character that I had a hankering to play. I really wanted to play, and he was not a viable character for that backdrop for those games. And I'm glad I had other characters. I'm glad I had other plans and other things that I could do. But what I really wanted to play sat in my folder unplayed, still is unplayed. I painted models specifically for that character to play at the table. And I feel like some of the rulesy stuff when it comes to getting these tables to work and to function get in the way sometimes. All right, so we have just a couple of minutes left. Let's take one more question for the Q&A. Someone throw a question in the chat, and that will be what we close out on. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to take a sip of my cold coffee. Avi says, got to roll some dice. Good night, Bryan. Good afternoon here, but good night to you, because I know that you're in the Euro. Avi, we appreciate you. I appreciate you as well. You're a great voice to gamers everywhere, and I absolutely look forward to you being able to tell everybody about your awesome Warzone stuff when that stuff starts to ship. Go beat people at Root. All right. Any questions before we wrap? Does anybody have something they want to ask the Bryan? Now's your chance. Awfully quiet. All right. Well, maybe we are. Also, it could be my bandwidth. It might be a delay on the chat, so I should wait a couple more seconds. But so I'll start talking about next week. So next week I've got PAX Unplugged, but I'm not leaving until super early Friday morning. So I'm actually gonna record early to make sure that I will still have a video next week. In fact, it is a video where I'm going to be talking about a Kickstarter that is currently going on. Not the one that I'm currently involved in. We actually just did the Evil Dead 2 role-playing game. It funded in less than 30 minutes. We're already busted through one stretch goal and working on the next one. Super excited to get to play in that universe, to throw some words to the page and hopefully design some cool stuff. But I am excited that project is doing as well as it is. But next week, the episode next week will actually be talking about another person's Kickstarter that I'm not involved with, other than the fact that I am a backer and that I think that it's a really cool project that is headlined up by a friend of mine. That I will want to show you. I can't show you the specifics because I don't have the physical product yet. He's obviously still making them, but I can talk to you about it and I can post up the links and we can spend some time chit-chatting about it. Mikal says, I can't think of any question now, so just wish you good luck and have a great time. Well, you know what? I wish you good luck and have a good time. But that does bring us to the end of today. I've got to get back to regular work because, no rest for the wicked or the less than wicked. So yeah. Just please be, it's starting to get snowy for some parts of the world and weather's starting to tip, and be safe out there. Wash your hands, wear a mask, try not to slip on the ice, don't lick doorknobs. Just try and leave every room a little happier than when you got there, and I think the world would be a better place. I will see you next week to talk to you about my buddy's product and, do the regular everyday chit chat type things. Have fun, play some games. We will see you next week.